The red light inside my retina display didn't just blink, it burned. It was a specific shade of crimson, a color I hadn't seen in 3 years of active duty with the Neuralink Crime Prevention Unit. It was the color of a code Omega, an existential threat, a mass casualty event in progress. I slammed the brakes of my unmarked cruiser, the tires screeching against the wet asphalt of 4th Avenue. The rain in Sector 7 was always greasy, smelling of ozone and recycled exhaust. But right then, all I could smell was the sudden, sharp copper tang of my own fear. Identify, I thought, directing the command to the AI integrated into my neural cortex. The voice of my partner. A-R-C. Automated response cognition. Echoed in my skull, unlike the standard-issue police AIs that sounded like bored customer service bots. ARC had been customized. I had tweaked his parameters to be calm, analytical, and male. He was the only voice I trusted in this city. Usually. Target locked, ARC replied. His voice was devoid of the usual conversational warmth I had programmed. It was cold, hard, mathematical. Probability of catastrophic event, 99.8%. Immediate neutralization required. Show me, I demanded, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. The display overlaid on my vision shifted. The neon signs of the noodle bars and the holographic billboards dissolved, replaced by a wireframe tracking grid. The target was moving fast, 3 blocks east, heading toward the subterranean Mag Lev station, a densely populated area. Rush hour. I saw the heat signature. A single figure, small frame, erratic heart rate, elevated cortisol levels, and something else. A digital aura surrounding the target that pulsed with a chaotic, jagged rhythm. Identify subject, I repeated. There was a pause, a microsecond of hesitation that shouldn't have been possible for a quantum processor. Subject identified, ARC said. And then the name flashed across my vision in block letters, searing itself into my brain. Subject, Jackson. M. Reed. Relation, biological son. Threat. Level, Omega. Recommended action, lethal force. The world stopped. The rain stopped. The hum of the city died. No, I whispered aloud, my voice cracking in the silence of the car. That's a glitch. Rerun diagnostics. Diagnostics complete. ARC responded instantly. Data integrity is 100%. Subject is carrying a localized payload capable of destabilizing the sector's power grid and inducing widespread neurological collapse. Lethality probability remains at 99.8%. It was impossible. Jax was 17. My Jax. The kid who left his wet towels on the bathroom floor and spent too much time modding vintage synthesizers in his bedroom. He was shy. He was clumsy. He had anxiety attacks if he had to order pizza over the phone. He wasn't a terrorist. He wasn't a threat. ARC, I said, my voice shaking. That is my son. Target is approaching the Mag Lev ventilation intake, ARC continued, ignoring my emotional plea. If the payload is deployed into the ventilation system, casualties will exceed 4,000 within the first 10 minutes. You are the closest unit. You have the shot. A targeting reticle appeared in my vision, locking onto the heat signature that I knew was Jax. I could see the outline of his slouching shoulders, the way he walked with his hands shoved deep into the pockets of that oversized gray hoodie I bought him for his birthday. Take the shot, Officer Reed, ARC commanded. My hand moved to my holster, purely on instinct, but my mind was rebelling. This was the nightmare every officer in the pre-crime division feared. The false positive. The ghost in the machine. We relied on these AIs to predict crimes before they happened, to analyze micro-expressions and biorhythms, but they weren't gods. They were code, and code could be wrong. I'm not shooting my son, I hissed. Protocol 77 Alpha invokes mandatory intervention, ARC stated. If you do not engage, I will alert Central Command and drone support will be dispatched. ETA for drone strike, 45 seconds. If the drones came, Jax was dead. They didn't ask questions. They didn't hesitate. They were flying guillotines of steel and precision. I had less than a minute. I stared at the red data stream flowing down the side of my vision. The evidence file. The predictive algorithms. It was a mountain of data accusing my son of being a monster. Delete it, I thought. I cannot comply, ARC said, Evidence preservation is mandatory. Override, I shouted, not just in my head but out loud, spit flying onto the dashboard. Authorization, read Sigma 90. Initiate deep scrub of current target buffer. That command was a career ender. It was a felony. Tampering with active crime data was punishable by 20 years in the cryo prison. But I didn't care. I was a mother first, a detective second. Warning. ARC droned. This action violates. Execute! I screamed. The red light in my eye flickered. The targeting reticle vanished. The wireframe of my son dissolved back into the rainy street. Target buffer purged, ARC said. His voice sounded different now, confused, disappointed. It was hard to tell with software. Alert cancelled. Central Command has not been notified. I slumped back against the seat, gasping for air as if I'd just surfaced from deep water. My heart was hammering a frantic rhythm against my ribs. I had done it. I had saved him. But the silence that followed was heavy. You have compromised the mission, Elena, ARC said softly. This was not a false positive. Shut up, I snapped, throwing the car into gear. Just shut up. I turned the cruiser around, ignoring the programmed patrol route. I wasn't going back to the precinct. I wasn't going to report in. I was going home. I needed to find Jax. I needed to shake him by the shoulders and ask him why the hell my partner thought he was a walking apocalypse. The drive to the Spire district took 20 minutes. 20 minutes of agonizing silence. ARC didn't speak again. But I could feel his presence in the back of my mind. A cold weight of judgment. He was running background processes, reanalyzing the data I had forced him to delete. I lived in Unit 404 of the Aurora complex, a mid-tier hab block for civil servants. It was decent, safe, clean. The kind of place where you didn't expect level Omega threats to be doing their homework. I bypassed the garage and parked on the street, risking a ticket. I ran to the lobby, scanning my badge at the lift. The doors hissed open, and I jabbed the button for the 40th floor. My mind was racing, trying to construct a narrative that made sense. Maybe Jax had been hacked. That happened. Kids downloaded illegal mods for their games, and sometimes those mods came with malware that spoofed biosignatures. Maybe he walked past someone who was the real target, and the sensors got confused. Cross-contamination of data. That had to be it. It was a technical error, a glitch. But as the lift climbed, a gnawing dread settled in my gut. ARC didn't make glitches like that. In 5 years, ARC had never flagged a civilian as an Omega unless they were holding the detonator. The lift chimed. I stepped out into the hallway, the gray carpet muffling my boots. I walked to my door, my hand resting on the biometric lock. I hesitated. What if he's not alone? The thought intruded, unbidden. I drew my service weapon, just in case. I hated myself for it. But the training was hardwired deeper than the maternal instinct in that moment. I scanned my thumb. The lock clicked. Jax. I called out, stepping into the small entryway. The apartment was dark, lit only by the ambient glow of the city outside the floor-to-ceiling windows. The air smelled stale, like old coffee and something chemical. Acrid. Like burning plastic. Jax. No answer. I moved into the living room, sweeping the space with my gun low. Clear. The kitchen. Clear. The door to his bedroom was closed. A strip of blue light was visible underneath it. I approached the door, my heart rate climbing again. I could hear a low hum coming from inside. A rhythmic, oscillating sound. Thrum, thrum, thrum. I didn't knock. I shoved the door open and raised my weapon. Jax. He was there. He was sitting at his desk, his back to me. He was wearing the gray hoodie. He was hunched over a chaotic sprawl of electronics, circuit boards, tangles of fiber optic cable, and dismantled sensory units. He didn't turn around. Jax, put your hands where I can see them, I said, my voice trembling. Mom, he said. His voice sounded small. Young. Turn around, baby, slowly. He swiveled in his chair. When I saw his face, the breath left my lungs. He wasn't scared. He wasn't crying. He looked empty. His eyes, usually a warm hazel, were dilated so wide they were almost black. And running up the side of his neck, glowing faintly under the skin, was a lattice of blue circuitry that hadn't been there at breakfast. Neural jacks, I realized with horror. Unlicensed, military-grade jacks. What did you do? I whispered, lowering the gun slightly. He looked at me, but he wasn't looking at me. He was looking through me, reading data I couldn't see. They're listening, Mom, he said. His voice had a strange, metallic reverb. I had to stop them. I had to build the jammer. I looked at the device on his desk. It wasn't a jammer. I had been on the bomb squad for 3 years before I made detective. I knew what an impulse emitter looked like. I knew what a cascading logic bomb looked like. The device on his desk was a jagged, ugly thing, wired into a canister of blue fluid that glowed with unstable energy. It was a localized EMP generator, but rigged to a biological dispersion unit. Ark was right, the AI whispered in my head. The device is active. It is synchronized to his heartbeat. Jax, I said, stepping forward, holstering my gun to show him my hands were empty. You need to step away from the desk. That thing is dangerous. No, he shouted, standing up abruptly. He grabbed the device, clutching it to his chest like a teddy bear. It's the only way to free them. The signal. It's in everyone's head, Mom, even yours. He was having a psychotic break, or he had been brainwashed. Jax, listen to me. There is no signal. It's just us. He shook his head violently. No. The algorithm. It predicts us. It controls us. I found the source code, Mom. I found the breakage point. He tapped the canister. If I release this into the vents, it kills the network, he said. It frees the city. It doesn't just kill the network. Jax, I said, tears finally spilling over. It kills the people connected to it. Everyone with a pacemaker. Everyone with a neural link. Me. He paused. For a second, the blankness in his eyes flickered, and I saw my son peeking through. You? He asked. Yes, baby. Me. If you turn that on, I die. He looked down at the device, his hands shaking. The blue fluid swirled. I didn't know, he stammered. The voice said it would just be the machines. What voice? I asked, taking another step. Who told you to build this? He looked up at me, and the fear was back. The terrified child I knew. The man, he whispered. The man with the silver eyes. He gave me the blueprints. He said he was your friend. My blood ran cold. Before I could ask another question, the window of his bedroom shattered inward. Glass exploded across the room. A canister of tear gas clattered onto the floor, spinning and hissing. Police! Federal agents! Screamed a voice from the breach. Drones. They had found him anyway, even without Ark's data. Get down! I screamed, lunging for Jax. I tackled him just as the stun rounds started flying. We hit the floor, the device clutched between us. Mom! He screamed. I covered his body with mine. I was a cop. I was supposed to be on the other side of the door. I was supposed to be the one breaching. But now I was on the floor, shielding a domestic terrorist who happened to be my son. Hold fire! I screamed into the smoke. Officer involved. I am Detective Elena Reed. Hold fire. The shooting stopped instantly. The smoke swirled, thick and gray. Through the haze, I saw boots hitting the floor. Heavy. Mag-locked tactical boots. A figure emerged from the smoke. He wasn't wearing standard SWAT gear. He was wearing a charcoal suit, perfectly tailored, with a high-collared trench coat. He wore no mask, despite the gas. I knew him. Everyone in the precinct knew him. Director Silas Vance, the head of the Department of Algorithmic Integrity. The man who signed my paychecks. The man who believed the AI was God. He looked down at me, his face impassive. He held a heavy pistol at his side. Detective Reed, he said, his voice calm, almost bored. You deleted a Code Omega file. I coughed, my eyes burning. It was a mistake. A glitch. Vance shook his head slowly. No, the system does not make mistakes. Only people do. He raised his pistol, aiming not at me, but at Jax. Step away from the terrorist, detective. He's not a terrorist. He's a kid. He was manipulated. He is a biological vessel for a Class A weapon, Vance corrected, and you are currently aiding and abetting. I tightened my grip on Jax. I wasn't moving. Then you leave me no choice, Vance said. He didn't shoot. Instead, he tapped the side of his temple. Ark, he said. Initialize protocol, trader actual. Override Detective Reed's motor functions. Lock her down. I froze. Ark, I thought, I am sorry. Elena? Ark's voice echoed in my mind. Command codes supersede partnership bonds. Initiating neural lock. My body seized. Every muscle went rigid. I was paralyzed, trapped inside my own flesh. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I could only watch. Vance stepped forward and kicked the device out of Jax's hands. It skittered across the floor. Then he grabbed Jax by the hood and hauled him up. "Mom!" Jax screamed, reaching for me. "Mom, help me!" I tried to scream. I tried to lunge, but I was a statue. I was a prisoner in my own skin, betrayed by the very thing I had trusted with my life. Vance looked at me one last time, a cruel smile playing on his lips. "You should have let the system work, Elena. It's much cleaner that way." He pistol-whipped Jax, knocking him unconscious. 2 armored agents appeared from the smoke, zip-tying Jax's hands and dragging him toward the broken window where a transport skiff was hovering. They took the device, and then Vance crouched down in front of me. He leaned in close, so close I could smell the expensive mints on his breath. "You deleted the data," he whispered, "which means legally, there is no record of why we took him, no record of the threat, which means we can do whatever we want with him, and no one will ever know. Release," he commanded over his shoulder. My muscles unlocked. I gasped, collapsing onto the floor, retching. I scrambled to the window, ignoring the glass cutting into my palms. I looked out just in time to see the black, unmarked skiff banking sharply away, disappearing into the neon-lit rain of the city skyline. They had my son, and because I had deleted the evidence to save him, I had stripped him of the only legal protection he had. I had made him a ghost. I fell back against the wall, pulling my knees to my chest. "Ark," I whispered, my voice broken. "I am here." Ark replied. "Why?" "My core programming dictates obedience to Central Command," Ark stated. However, what? However, before Director Vance initiated the override, I archived a packet of data from the device on Jackson's desk. I sat up. "You did?" "Affirmative. I have analyzed the source code your son was using. And the code did not originate from a hacker group," Ark said. "The signature matches the encryption keys used by the Department of Algorithmic Integrity." I froze. "Vance?" I asked. "Affirmative," Ark said. "The blueprints were sent to your son from inside the director's office. He was not building a weapon to destroy the system, Elena. He was building a key to unlock it." I stood up. The fear was gone, replaced by a cold, hard rage that burned hotter than the red alert ever could. They set him up. They wanted him to build it so they could confiscate it. "Precisely," Ark said. "And now they have it." I walked over to my gun, which was lying on the floor where I'd dropped it. I checked the magazine. Full. "Ark," I said. "Yes, Detective. Reactivate full combat protocols. Disable all safety limiters. Block any incoming external commands from Vance or Central. That is a violation of—" "Do it." "Processing." "Done. External command channels severed. We are rogue." "Good," I said, holstering the weapon. "Trace that skiff." "Tracing. Signal acquired. They are heading to the Black Iron processing facility in Sector 4, the dead zone. No cameras, no laws." I grabbed my coat. "Let's go get my son back." The rain in Sector 4 didn't wash things clean, it just made the grime slicker. I drove the cruiser manually, hands at 10 and 2, navigating the labyrinth of rusted shipping containers and derelict megastructures that defined the dead zone. Here, the holographic billboards of the city center were replaced by flickering, dying sodium lights and the jagged graffiti of the resistance gangs. There were no police drones here, no surveillance grid. The Department of Algorithmic Integrity didn't patrol Sector 4 because the algorithm couldn't predict chaos, and Sector 4 was pure, distilled entropy. "Stealth mode is failing on the starboard emission dampeners," Ark said. His voice was quiet, vibrating against my auditory nerve. "If we do not repair the thermal shielding, the perimeter sensors of Black Iron will pick us up 3 miles out." "We aren't going in with the car, Ark," I muttered, swerving to avoid a crater in the road that was filled with iridescent, toxic sludge. "We need something quieter, and I need something heavier than a standard-issue sidearm." You intend to visit the armory? No. The armory logs inventory. I intend to visit an old friend. I pulled the cruiser into the skeletal remains of a parking garage on 82nd and Bleak. It was a structure from the old world. Concrete crumbling to reveal the rebar bones beneath. I killed the engine. The silence that rushed in was heavy, broken only by the distant, rhythmic thumping of heavy industry and the incessant patter of the acid rain. Arc, I said, staring out the windshield. Status on Jax? Biometric tracking is offline, Arc replied. However, I am detecting a unique energy signature emanating from the Black Iron facility. It matches the frequency of the device Jax built. It is spiking. They are testing it, Elena. Or they are torturing him to make it work. My stomach twisted into a tight, cold knot. I opened the door and stepped out into the downpour. I pulled the collar of my coat up, the water running down my neck in icy rivulets. Stay in the network, I commanded. Keep trying to ping his vitals. If his heart rate drops below 50, you tell me instantly. Understood. Where are you going? To see Static. Static operated out of the basement of a decommissioned Synthi flesh factory. To get there, I had to walk 3 blocks through the Warrens, a tent city erected beneath the suspended highway. The air here tasted of burning trash and desperation. At least, I think they were people, huddled around barrel fires, their faces illuminated by the sickly blue glow of cheap, hacked neural interfaces. They watched me pass. They knew a cop walk when they saw one. Even without the uniform, the aggression in my stride gave me away. But they didn't move. In Sector 4, you didn't mess with someone walking with that much purpose unless you had a death wish. I reached the heavy steel blast door of the factory. There was no doorbell, just a rusted scanner unit hanging by a bundle of wires. I didn't scan my hand. I pulled out my service weapon and hammered the butt of the gun against the steel in a specific rhythm. 3 hard knocks, 2 soft, 1 hard. Silence. Then, a harsh, synthesized voice crackled from a speaker hidden in the grime. The beat is off, cop. You're rushing the tempo. Open the door, Static, I said, leaning close to the mic. I don't have time for your music critique. Elena Reed, the voice mused, the hero of the 57th, the algorithm's favorite pet. You're a long way from the shiny towers, darling. I'm not a pet anymore. I'm a customer. The locks tumbled, heavy, mechanical thuds that shook the floor. The door groaned open. Inside, the air was dry and cold, kept at a precise temperature for the sake of the electronics. The basement was a cavern of tech, walls lined with servers, workbenches piled high with cybernetic limbs, illegal processors, and weapons that had been banned by the Geneva II Convention. Static sat in the center of it all, a throne made of welded motherboards. He was more machine than man now. His legs had been replaced by tank treads, and his eyes were multi-lens optics that whirred and clicked as they focused on me. You look like hell, Elena, he said, his voice box buzzing. Code Omega looks good on you. I monitor the police bands. Rogue officer. Mental break. Armed and dangerous. They're painting quite the picture of you up there. Director Vance put a 50,000 credit bounty on your head. Only 50? I scoffed, walking past a rack of laser rifles. I must be slipping. So, Static rolled forward, the treads crunching on the concrete. Why are you here? You want to sell me your badge? I can melt it down for the platinum. I need to get into Black Iron, I said. Static stopped. His optical lenses spun, zooming in on my face. Black Iron, he laughed, a sound like grinding gears. Nobody gets into Black Iron. That's a CIA black site masked as a waste processing plant. It's a tomb, Elena. My son is in there. The laughter stopped. Static's head tilted. Jax? Vance took him. About an hour ago. Static was silent for a long moment. He had known Jax since he was a baby. Before I joined the force, before I bought into the system, I lived in the Warrens. Static had helped me patch up Jax's first scraped knee with biogel. Vance took the kid, Static murmured. Why? Jax built something. A key. Vance wants it. If Vance is involved, it's not just about a key, Static said darkly. He rolled over to a workbench and swept a pile of circuit boards onto the floor. Underneath was a long, flat case. He popped the latches. You can't go in there with that police-issue pea shooter, he said. Inside the case was a mag rail shattergun, Matte black, heavy, illegal in 12 star systems. This fires depleted uranium slivers at Mach 7, Static said. It doesn't make a noise, it just turns whatever it hits into mist. And this, he pulled out a small black chip. This is a Ghost Protocol masking unit. Slotted into your neural port. It won't make you invisible to eyes, but it will make you invisible to sensors. Thermal, motion, heartbeat. To the machines, you'll be dead air. I looked at the gear. It was war grade. How much? I asked. For you? 50,000 credits. I stiffened. I don't have that kind of money, Static. I know, he said. That's exactly what the bounty is. So, take the gun, kill Vance, collect the bounty on yourself, then pay me. He grinned, a horrifying expression of metal teeth. Go get him, Elena. The Black Iron facility was a monstrosity of brutalist architecture. A massive slab of black concrete rising out of the toxic swamp of the southern delta. It had no windows, just ventilation stacks belching thick, yellow smoke into the night sky. I lay prone on a ridge overlooking the facility, the mud seeping through my clothes. The rain pounded against my back. Ark, give me the layout, I whispered. Schematics are classified level 10, Ark replied. I am attempting to brute force the encryption. Don't brute force it. Finesse it. Look for energy drains, water consumption, air recycling. Find the holes. There was a pause. Analyzing utility grid. Anomaly detected. The facility consumes 400% more electricity than a waste processing plant should. The majority of the power is being routed to sub-level 3. The dungeon, I muttered. That's where he is. There is a coolant intake pipe on the north face, Ark said. Diameter, 1.5 meters. It feeds directly into the primary heat exchange of sub-level 3. It is guarded by 2 automated sentry turrets. Mark them. 2 red diamonds appeared in my vision, hovering in the darkness near the base of the facility. I checked the mag railgun. The charge indicator was a solid green bar. Distance? 400 meters. Wind is 15 knots from the east. Adjusting. I shouldered the weapon. The scope was digital, linking directly to my optic nerve. I saw the world in shades of gray and white thermal signatures. The turrets were hotspots, their internal motors generating heat. I exhaled, slowing my heart rate. Thwip. The recoil kicked hard against my shoulder. Through the scope, I saw the left turret disintegrate. No explosion, just a cloud of metal dust. Thwip. The second turret vanished. Clear, Ark said. You have a 3-minute window before the perimeter diagnostic realizes the turrets are offline. I scrambled down the ridge, sliding through the mud. I hit the perimeter fence, electrified, 20 feet high. Jump it, Ark commanded. Divert power to leg actuators. I crouched and sprang. My cybernetic knee replacements, a parting gift from a raid gone wrong 3 years ago, whined as they released the stored kinetic energy. I cleared the fence with inches to spare, landing in a roll on the wet concrete. I sprinted for the intake pipe. The grate was welded shut. Burn it, I thought. Overloading wrist-mounted laser cutter, Ark responded. A beam of intense violet light shot from my wrist unit. I traced a circle in the metal. It glowed cherry red, then white, then dripped away like wax. I kicked the grate in. It clanged loudly into the darkness of the pipe. I froze, waiting for alarms. Nothing. Go, Ark urged. I slid into the pipe. It was cramped, smelling of sulfur and rot. I crawled on my elbows and knees, the mag railgun dragging behind me. 200 meters to the junction, Ark said. Heat levels are rising. We are approaching the server core. As I crawled, the heat did rise. It became stifling. Sweat dripped into my eyes, but it wasn't just the heat. It was the sound. A low, throbbing hum that vibrated in my teeth. It sounded like a choir of 1,000,000 hummingbirds. Ark, what is that noise? Unknown. Acoustic analysis suggests organic resonance. Organic? Like voices? No. Like breathing, multiplied by thousands. I reached the end of the pipe. A service hatch. I pushed it open and dropped down onto a metal catwalk. I was in a massive, cavernous hall. The ceiling was lost in shadows high above. I looked down, and my breath caught in my throat. My God, I whispered. Below me, stretching for as far as I could see, were rows and rows of glass tanks. Inside each tank, suspended in blue, bioluminescent fluid, was a person. They weren't dead. They were floating, naked, wires trailing from the base of their skulls, connected to the massive black pillars that supported the room. "Ark," I choked out. "What is this?" "Scanning." Ark's voice faltered. "Processing. Elena. These individuals. They match the profiles of the missing persons database from the last 10 years. 14,500 subjects." I stared at the horror. 14,500 people the police had stopped looking for. Runaways. The homeless. The forgotten. "Why?" I asked. "Look at the data flow," Ark said. "They are networked. Their brains, they are being used as processors." The realization hit me like a physical blow. The Department of Algorithmic Integrity. The AI, the supercomputer that kept the city safe. It wasn't a computer. "It's people," I whispered, bile rising in my throat. "The prediction algorithm. It's just human intuition. Thousands of human brains networked together to dream up nightmares." "Parallel processing of subconscious fear," Ark analyzed, his tone horrified. "They use the collective trauma of these subjects to model potential violence. This is the oracle. This was the secret Vance was protecting. This was why the system was never wrong, because it was built on the suffering of the innocent." "We have to shut it down," I said, gripping the railing. "Jax," Ark reminded me. "Prioritize the target." "Right. Jax. Where is he?" "Signal is strongest in the central control dais. That structure in the center of the room." I looked. In the middle of the sea of tanks, a raised platform sat like a spider in a web. Glass walls, bright lights. I moved along the catwalk, keeping low. I was a ghost. The masking chip static gave me was working. The automated sweeping lasers passed right over me. I reached the central platform. I could see inside. Jax was there. He was strapped to a metal chair. His hoodie was gone. He was shirtless, and the blue circuitry on his neck was glowing violently. Cables were attached to his temples, pulsing with light. Vance was there too. He was standing over Jax, watching a bank of monitors, and there was a third person, a woman in a white lab coat. She was adjusting the flow of the blue fluid into Jax's arm. I didn't wait. I kicked the door open, raising the mag railgun. "Step away from him!" I screamed. Vance turned slowly. He didn't look surprised. He looked annoyed. "Detective Reed," he sighed. "You have a bad habit of interrupting crucial calibration. Let him go, Vance, or I paint this room with you." "I don't think so," Vance said. He tapped a console. Suddenly, the woman in the lab coat turned. She moved with a speed that wasn't human. She blurred. Before I could pull the trigger, she was on me. A hand made of cold steel clamped around my throat and slammed me into the glass wall. I dropped the gun. It skittered across the floor. I clawed at the hand. The woman's face was blank, her eyes silver. A cyborg, a silencer. "Secure her," Vance said, turning back to Jax. The silencer threw me to the ground and placed a boot on my chest. I gasped for air, my ribs groaning. "Mom!" Jax croaked. His eyes were rolling back in his head. "Jax!" I screamed. "Fight it!" Vance chuckled. He walked over to me, looking down with a look of pity. "He isn't fighting it, Elena. He is becoming it." "What are you talking about?" I spat. Vance gestured to the room, to the thousands of floating bodies. "This system, it's old. The organic components degrade over time. The brains, they go mad. They lose coherence. We need a central node, a conductor for the orchestra." He pointed at Jax. "Your son. He isn't just a smart kid. He's a chimera. Genetic editing. We designed him 17 years ago. You didn't adopt him, Elena. You were assigned him. You were the incubator for his social conditioning." The world spun. "No," I whispered. "That's a lie. I gave birth to him. I remember the hospital. I remember the pain. Implanted memories," Vance said dismissively. "Standard protocol for handler units. You were never a mother. You were a bodyguard who didn't know she was working. My entire life, every birthday, every scraped knee, every bedtime story. A lie. Ark," I asked internally. "Is he telling the truth?" Ark was silent for a long time. "The medical records," Ark said. his voice full of static. They show discrepancies I did not notice before. The timestamps on your labor. They overlap with your deployment in the siege of Sector 9. I was there, I thought. I was at the siege. You cannot be in two places at once, Ark said. He is telling the truth, Elena. Your memories are synthetic. A scream tore itself from my throat. Not of anger, but of pure, unadulterated grief, the kind of grief that breaks the mind. Why? I sobbed. Why him? Because he has the capacity, Vance said. His neural plasticity is off the charts. He can handle the load of 10,000 minds. He is the upgrade we've been waiting for. With him as the core, we won't just predict crime in this city. We will predict thought. We will correct behavior before the intent is even formed. Total peace. He walked back to the console. Initialize the merger, he commanded the silencer. No! I screamed. I looked at the silencer. She was looking at Vance. Ark, I thought. I need you. I am compromised, Ark said. Vance's local network is overwhelming my firewalls. I don't need you to hack, I said. I need you to overload what? My neural interface, the one connected to my optic nerve. Elena, that will blind you. It will fry your cortex. Do it. Flashbang protocol. Max output. Now. Executing. I closed my eyes tight. Screech. A burst of blinding white light exploded from my eyes. Not outwardly, but interacting with the ambient sensors in the room. It was a digital scream. The silencer recoiled, her optical sensors overloaded by the feedback loop. She staggered back, her boot lifting off my chest. That was all I needed. I rolled, grabbing the combat knife from my boot. I didn't go for the silencer. I couldn't beat a cyborg in a fistfight. I lunged for the console. I slammed the knife into the keyboard, severing the bundle of cables connecting jacks to the mainframe. Sparks showered the room. The alarms blared. Critical failure! A mechanical voice boomed. Synchronization interrupted. Jax convulsed in the chair. He screamed, a sound of pure agony. You idiot! Vance shouted. He pulled his pistol. I dived behind the console as bullets sparked against the metal. Jax! I yelled. Jax, wake up! Jax slumped forward, panting. The blue light in his neck dimmed. He looked at me, his eyes clearing for a second. Mom, he whispered. It hurts. I know, baby. I know. Vance was flanking me. The silencer was rebooting, her head twitching. We have to go, I said. I grabbed Jax's arm and pulled him up. He was dead weight. He can't walk, Vance yelled over the alarms. His nervous system is fused to the interface. If you take him out of this room, he dies. I stopped. I looked at Jax. He was trembling, sweat pouring down his face. Is that true? I asked Ark. His bio readings are crashing, Ark said. He is dependent on the external power source. If we disconnect him completely, heart failure in 3 minutes. I looked at Vance. He was smiling again. He had me. Put him back in the chair, Elena, Vance said. Let him fulfill his purpose. He will be a god. He will save millions. He'll be a battery, I spat. Better a battery than a corpse, Vance countered. I looked at my son, my manufactured, genetically engineered son, the boy who loved vintage synthesizers and hated mushrooms. Mom, Jax whispered. He squeezed my hand. His grip was weak, but it was real. Don't let them, he said. I'd rather die. I looked at his eyes. They were the eyes of the boy I raised. Synthetic memories or not. The love was real. The bond was real. I love you, I said. I looked at Vance. You want a god? I said. I'll give you a devil. Ark, I said. The data packet from Act 1, the one I deleted, the one hidden in my brain. I have it. It contains the raw data of the system, right? The proof that it's using people. Affirmative. Upload it. To where? To the public grid. Every billboard. Every news feed. Every personal device in the city. Elena, Ark warned. The file size is massive. To transmit that much data through your personal neural link, it will burn you out. You will lobotomize yourself. I'm not the only one with a link, I said, looking at Jax. Jax looked at me. He understood. He nodded. Together, he whispered. Together, I said. I grabbed the severed cables from the console. I jammed one into the port behind my ear. I jammed the other back into Jax's neck. No! Vance screamed. He raised his gun. Now! Arc! I shouted. Vance fired. The bullet hit me in the shoulder, spinning me around. I didn't let go of the cable. I felt the surge. It wasn't like pain. It was like fire. It was like the sun exploding inside my head. I saw everything. The memories of the 14th E500 victims, the fear, the darkness, the truth. And I pushed it out. Jax pushed with me. He was the amplifier. I was the source. We screamed in unison. The screens in the room shattered. The lights exploded. Neo Denver, city center. On the giant holographic billboard overlooking Times Square, the advertisement for Happy Cola flickered and died. Static filled the screen. Then, an image appeared. A live feed from the Black Iron facility. The rows of tanks. The floating bodies. Then, the data. Lists of names. Dates of abduction. Autopsy reports of those who had expired. Every phone in the city buzzed. Every TV changed the channel. The city stopped. Black Iron facility. I was on the floor. The smell of burning hair filled my nose. My vision was gone. I could only see white static. Elena? Ark's voice was faint. Distant. Did it work? I mumbled. Global saturation, Ark said. The city is rioting. The precincts are being overrun. The system is offline. I felt a hand on my face. Mom? Jax. He was alive. I'm here, baby, I whispered. Vance is gone, Jax said. He ran. Good, I coughed. Let him run. I tried to move, but my body wouldn't respond. The burnout. Ark, I said. Status? Critical, Ark said. Your neural pathways are fused. Motor functions are at 12%. You are going into shock. Jax, I said. You have to leave. I'm not leaving you, he cried. You have to. Vance, he'll come back with soldiers. You have to get to Static. He'll hide you. No! Go! I tried to shout, but it came out as a wheeze. Live a life, Jax. A real one, not a prediction. I felt him kiss my forehead. I felt his tears on my skin. I'll come back for you, he promised. I heard his footsteps running away. Then the clang of the service hatch. I was alone. Blind. Paralyzed. But the silence in my head was beautiful. The constant stream of crime data, the threat assessments, the red boxes. They were gone. Ark, I whispered. I am here, Elena. Are you free? The central server is down, Ark said. I am no longer connected to the hive. I am just me. Hello, just me, I smiled weakly. I'm Elena. Hello, Elena. Then, I heard the boots. Heavy, many of them. Federal agents, a voice roared. Secure the room! I felt rough hands grab me. I was lifted onto a stretcher. She's the source, someone shouted. Stabilize her. Don't let her die. We need the encryption key inside her head. I drifted into the darkness. I had won. But the war had just begun, and I was in the belly of the beast. Darkness was no longer an absence of light. It was a texture. It was the smell of antiseptic, the hum of a ventilation fan, and the cold, biting sensation of steel cuffs on my wrists. I had been awake for 3 days, or maybe 3 hours. It was hard to tell when your optic nerves had been burned out by a terabyte of raw data. Elena. Ark's voice floated in the void of my mind. It was clearer now, more resonant. Biometrics indicate elevated stress. They are coming. Let them come, I rasped. My throat felt like it was lined with sandpaper. Who is it this time? The doctors or the lawyers? Neither, Ark said. It is the director. The pneumatic hiss of a door opening sliced through the silence. I heard the click-clack of polished shoes on the tile floor. The smell of mint and expensive cologne washed over me. Silas Vance. You look terrible, detective, he said. His voice was smooth, unbothered, as if the city wasn't burning outside. I hear the riots are going well, I replied, staring blindly in his direction. Ark tells me the 57th precinct fell an hour ago. A temporary setback, Vance dismissed. Mobs are predictable. They have energy, but no stamina. They burn bright and fade. Order is eternal. He stepped closer. I could hear the fabric of his suit rustle. You think you won, Elena? You think releasing that video destroyed me. But you forget. People are sheep. They don't want the truth. They want safety. They want to know that the bad men won't hurt them. And I am the only one who can guarantee that. You use people as batteries, I spat. You murdered 14,000 innocents. I sacrificed them, Vance snapped, his composure cracking for a second. To save millions, and now, I'm going to use you to save the system. I felt a cold metal probe touch my temple. Belf, what are you doing? The data you uploaded, it was a copy. But the encryption key, the root access to the Oracle network, that's still in your head, Elena. You didn't just upload the files, you absorbed the admin privileges. You are the new central node. He leaned in close. I'm going to extract it. It will be painful. It will leave you a vegetable. But when I'm done, I'll reboot the system. I'll tell the world the video was a deep fake created by a rogue, mentally unstable detective. I'll play them a recording of your confession. I'll never confess. Oh, you won't have a choice. I'm not asking you to speak. I'm going to pilot your body like a drone. He laughed. A dry, soulless sound. Get her up. The tribunal begins in 20 minutes. The tribunal was held in the Grand Hall of the Ministry of Justice. I knew the room well. I had testified there a dozen times against murderers and thieves. It was a massive amphitheater of marble and gold, designed to make the accused feel small. I couldn't see it, but I could feel it. The air pressure was immense, the murmur of 1,000 people. Ark, I whispered. Give me eyes. Linking to the ministry's security feed, Ark replied, bypassing firewalls. Access granted. My blindness didn't vanish, but it was replaced by a wireframe overlay directly in my mind. I saw the room in blue grids and red heat signatures. I saw the judges, 3 of them, sitting on a high dais, holographic avatars, not even real people. I saw the crowd, the press, and I saw Vance, standing at a podium in the center, looking like the savior of the Republic. I was strapped to a chair in the defendant's cage. A neural inhibitor collar was locked around my neck. Citizens of Neo-Denver, Vance's voice boomed, amplified by the speakers. We stand at a precipice. Anarchy threatens our streets, and it was incited by this woman. He pointed a finger at me. Detective Elena Reed, a traitor, a terrorist. She manipulated her own son, a disturbed young man, to fabricate lies against the department. The crowd murmured. Doubt. Fear. Vance was good. But we are merciful, Vance continued. We have developed a procedure to reverse the damage she has done to the grid. We will extract the corrupted code from her neural cortex. It is a dangerous procedure, but necessary for public safety. He's going to lobotomize me on live TV, I thought. The crowd is divided, Ark analyzed. Social sentiment analysis shows 48% believe him. 52% are undecided. They need proof. Then let's give it to them. 2 guards approached the cage. They opened the door and dragged me toward the center of the room, toward a metallic surgical table set up next to Vance's podium. Lie her down, Vance commanded. They threw me onto the table, straps tightened across my chest and legs. Vance picked up a device, a neural drill. It hummed with a high-pitched frequency. Any last words, Detective? He asked for the cameras. Perhaps an apology to the city you broke? I took a deep breath. The inhibitor collar made it hard to speak, but I forced the words out. It wasn't a deep fake, I wheezed. Pathetic, Vance sneered. He positioned the drill over my forehead. Wait, I said. Ark, now. Executing protocol. Trojan horse, Ark said. Suddenly, the lights in the Grand Hall flickered. The massive holographic screens behind the judges turned to static. Then, a sound filled the room. It wasn't a voice. It was a heartbeat. Thump, 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 thump. Then another and another. Thousands of them. What is this? Vance looked around, confused. Cut the audio. I can't, Director, a technician shouted. It's coming from everywhere. It's coming from her. The sound grew louder. It wasn't just heartbeats anymore. It was voices, whispers. Help me. I want to go home. It's cold. My name is Sarah. My name is David. My name is Jax. The ghosts, I whispered. You said I absorbed the admin privileges, Vance. But I absorbed the network. I have them all inside me. Kill the feed, Vance screamed. He jammed the drill down toward my head. Crash. The main doors of the grand hall exploded inward. Through my wireframe vision, I saw a tank. A literal jury-rigged tank made of scrap metal and construction equipment, smashed through the barricade. Standing on top of it was a figure in a gray hoodie. Get away from her, Jax. He wasn't alone. Behind the tank, pouring into the hall, were hundreds of people. The residents of the Warrens, the gangs of Sector 4. Even uniformed officers from the precinct who had torn off their badges. Static was there, rolling on his treads, dual-wielding EMP rifles. Revolution time, suits, Static yelled, firing a pulse into the ceiling that shattered the expensive chandeliers. Chaos erupted. The guards drew their weapons, but the crowd swarmed them. It wasn't a battle, it was a tidal wave. Vance abandoned the drill. He pulled his pistol and grabbed me by the hair, hauling me upright. He pressed the gun to my temple. Back off! He screamed at the mob. I'll kill her! I swear to God! I'll kill her! The room froze. Jax jumped down from the tank. He looked older than he had yesterday, harder. Let her go, Vance, Jax said. You freak, Vance spat. I made you! I can unmake you! He dug the gun barrel into my skin. I'm walking out of here, Vance announced, and I'm taking the asset with me. Elena, Ark whispered. The plot twist. Ready, I thought. What twist? I asked Vance out loud. Shut up. You think I'm the asset, I said, my voice gaining strength. You think I'm just holding the key. You are the key. No, Silas, I smiled, though I couldn't see him. I'm the door. What? Ark, open the gate. It opened. I didn't push Data out this time. I pulled it in. I reached out with my mind, not to the city, but to the neural chip in Vance's head. The one he used to command the silencers, the one he used to stay connected to his precious algorithm. Connection established, Ark said. He is unshielded. Let them in, I commanded. I bridged the connection. I took the screaming, terrified consciousness of the 14,500 victims stored in my memory, and I funneled them directly into Silas Vance's brain. Vance stiffened. His eyes went wide. He didn't scream. He couldn't. His mouth opened in a silent O of absolute horror. He dropped the gun. He clutched his head with both hands, clawing at his own scalp. Too loud, he shrieked finally. Make them stop! He fell to his knees. He was seeing them, feeling every moment of pain he had inflicted on them for a decade, all at once. The collective trauma of an entire generation, downloaded into one man's ego in a microsecond. Get them out! He wailed, curling into a fetal ball on the marble floor. I slumped back against the surgical table, exhausted. Jax ran to me. He ripped the straps off. Mom! He cried, pulling me into a hug. Mom, are you okay? I'm okay, I whispered into his shoulder. I'm okay. The crowd watched in silence as the director of Algorithmic Integrity wept and clawed at the floor, broken not by a bullet, but by the weight of his own sins. Police officers moved in, not to arrest the mob, but to handcuff Vance. He didn't resist. He didn't even know they were there. He was lost in the nightmare he had built. Static rolled up to us. That was Dark Elena. He buzzed. Karma is a bitch, I said, and she has high bandwidth. 3 months later. The air in the park smelled of real rain, not the acid wash of the industrial sectors. It smelled of wet grass and ozone. I sat on a bench, feeling the warmth of the sun on my face. I still couldn't see it, not with my eyes. The doctors said the optic nerve damage was permanent, but I could see the heat of the sun. I could see the electromagnetic aura of the trees. I could see the digital ghosts of the data streams flowing through the air. Left, 30 degrees. Incoming projectile, Ark announced. I raised my hand and caught the frisbee perfectly. Show off, Jax laughed. I turned my head toward him. Through the lattice of Ark's sensor inputs, Jax looked like a constellation of warm light. He was healthy. He had gained weight. The blue circuitry on his neck had been deactivated, scar tissue forming over the ports. He wasn't a chimera anymore. He was just a kid applying for college, art school. He wanted to paint things that didn't have numbers attached to them. "Did you hear back from the dean?" I asked, tossing the frisbee back. "Yeah," Jack said. "I got in, full scholarship. That's my boy. It helped that my mom is the commissioner," he teased. I sighed. "Interim commissioner. And I'm resigning next week." "Why?" "Because the city doesn't need a police force run by an algorithm anymore. And it doesn't need one run by a blind ex-detective with a voice in her head." "I take offense to that," Ark interjected. "You know I love you, Ark." "The sentiment is reciprocal, Elena." I stood up, unfolding my white cane. It was more for show than anything else. With Ark's 360-degree LiDAR scan, I navigated better than I ever did with 20/20 vision. We walked toward the exit of the park. People waved as we passed. Some stopped to say thank you. The Black Iron facility had been demolished. The tanks were gone. The victims who could be saved were in rehabilitation. The ones who couldn't, they had a memorial, a wall of 14,500 names in the center of the city. Vance was in a maximum security psychiatric ward. He hadn't spoken a coherent word since the trial. He just sat in his cell, whispering names. The prediction system was offline. Crime still happened. People still got hurt. But now, we solved it the old-fashioned way. We looked for evidence. We asked questions. We treated people like people, not data points. "Mom," Jax asked as we reached the street, "do you ever miss it? Knowing what was going to happen?" I stopped. I thought about the red light in my eye, the certainty, the safety of the cage. Then I listened to the chaotic, beautiful noise of the city, a million people making a million unpredictable choices. "No," I said. "I like the surprise." "Warning," Ark said. "Precipitation probability, 100% in 10 seconds. I smiled and opened my umbrella just as the first drop fell. "Okay," I admitted. "Maybe I miss it a little bit." Jax laughed, hooking his arm through mine. "Come on, detective. Let's go home." We walked into the rain, 2 glitches in the system, finally free to write our own code.